Okay, let's jump right in. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a really interesting corner of the AI world, the generative art platform known as OpenArt AI.
It's a huge field right now, and OpenArt AI is making some pretty serious claims. They're promising access to over 100 models.
100 models, wow.
Yeah, and professional-grade editing in your browser. Our mission today is to kind of cut through that marketing excitement. We want to analyze the actual consumer experience.
Right, focusing on where the platform delivers real value, and maybe more importantly, where the whole credit and pricing thing creates, well, friction for you as a user.
Exactly, because the source review we're looking at makes it sound almost too good at first.
I mean, we're talking about a genuine all-in-one powerhouse, right? Free credits to start you off, built-in features like in-painting, background removal.
And even advanced stuff like training your own custom models, the promise is huge. Breadth, convenience, and a really low barrier to entry.
But as we usually find with these things, convenience can sometimes come with a hidden cost.
That's the thing. So, okay, let's unpack this. We need to see how quickly that initial excitement fades once you get past the free trial.
Let's start with the basics then. How can one platform even claim to have access to over 100 different models?
Well, they do it through aggregation. OpenArt isn't actually building all these models themselves. They're acting as a sort of high-powered intermediary.
So they're pulling in other technologies.
Exactly. The source highlights they aggregate top models like Stable Diffusion and Detail E3, plus a ton of others, and that gives you this huge variety in one place, which is a major time saver.
That aggregation approach is definitely a powerful hook, and I imagine the free trial is just generous enough to get a user really invested.
That's the strategy, isn't it? The initial access is super low risk. The review confirms you get 40 trial credits right when you sign up.
And some daily ones, too.
Yeah, a few daily credits if you stick to using their most basic models. It's the perfect low commitment way for you to jump in, generate a few things, and really see the platform's potential.
And once you're hooked, that's when they push you into one of their 3 paid tiers.
Right. You've got the essential plan for about $7 a month, the advanced for $14.50, and then the top tier infinite hits for $28 a month.
And those plans unlock the full range of features.
They do, and the features are pretty significant. You know, beyond the standard text-to-image stuff, the review points out the editing tools, the in-painting and background removal right there in the browser.
So you don't have to jump into Photoshop or another app, just for a few small tweaks.
Exactly. It keeps your workflow all in one place.
And there's one proprietary feature that really stood out to me, the thing they call emotage. It sounds kind of fancy, but what does it actually mean for someone using the tool?
That's a great question because the term is a bit opaque. What emotage basically means is that the system lets you feed it your own artwork.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, or like a consistent brand style to create a custom AI model based on that input. So if you have a very specific look, you can train the AI to generate images that match your style.
So the output is more consistent and personalized. That's a huge creative draw.
It really is. Okay, so they've got world-class tech, great variety, powerful features like emotage. It sounds fantastic on paper.
But this is the deep dive. We know the story doesn't end with the feature list.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because the source pretty quickly pivots from praising the tool to dissecting the business model. And the main point of friction is the credit cost.
Credit cost.
It just completely undermines all that initial excitement. What's fascinating is that the credit costs are described as varying wildly by model, and they're not centralized.
So you buy a subscription for a set number of credits, but you have no idea how quickly you're going to burn through them.
Zero predictability. And the review points out all these little hidden costs, simple things like upscaling an image to a higher resolution that costs extra credits.
Like a usage tax on quality.
It is. And the most damaging part is that the pricing details are fragmented with what the source calls no reference zero.
Okay, no reference zero. What does that mean in practical terms for someone just trying to figure out if it's a good value?
Well, it's key. It means you don't have a stable baseline for what a simple generation should cost. Imagine buying gas where the price per gallon changes not just daily, but by the car you drive, and there's no price on the sign.
You just pump and find out later.
Exactly. You hit the generate button for a complex image, and you have no idea if it just cost you 2 credits or 20, or if that upscale you just did quadrupled the price.
Wow. That completely changes the experience. You go from creative exploration to, like, constant economic anxiety.
That's precisely the conclusion the source reviewer lands on. They say this opacity creates friction, and without clear documentation, you're essentially gambling every time you hit generate.
You're just hoping your credit balance will cover the next one. We connect this to the bigger picture. It really raises questions about how these companies structure digital consumption.
I mean, when the basic unit of consumption, the credit, has no stable value, it feels like the business is prioritizing its revenue over consumer trust.
They're shifting the entire burden of cost management onto you, the user.
Which brings us to their terms of service. Because if the experience is confusing, you might want to downgrade or get out, but the policies around that are, well, surprisingly punitive.
That policy about the 10% fee just to leave a higher tier, that seems pretty significant.
It's a lot. The review details a very strict no refund policy, which is already tough. But then if you choose to downgrade, let's say from the advanced to the essential plan,
Let me guess, you lose your credits.
you lose all your unused credits, they just vanish. And you're hit with that 10% fee just for the privilege of moving to a cheaper plan.
So you're penalized for scaling back your commitment.
Yeah.
That suggests they're more interested in locking users into higher plans than in customer retention.
It definitely affects your confidence as a consumer. You'd hesitate before upgrading, even for a short-term need, because you know you're essentially locking yourself in.
So given all those financial constraints, the source reviewer then asks the obvious question. Is the output quality good enough to justify taking on that risk?
Right, so they did a competitive analysis, comparing OpenArt to other big players in the market.
And the results were pretty clarifying. If you're going for pure gallery-worthy aesthetics, the source found Midjourney still ranks higher.
Yes, Midjourney has that almost cinematic, super polished look. It's a hyper-real, almost magical quality that OpenArt, despite all its models, can't quite match.
Okay, so it's not the best for aesthetics. What about for production purposes, for a creative workflow?
There, the review says Leonardo AI wins. Its controls and workflow are just better organized for integrating the art into a bigger professional project.
So the conclusion is kind of telling. OpenArt doesn't dominate any category.
Exactly. It offers breadth, that sheer number of models,
Yeah.
but not necessarily best-in-class depth or quality when you compare it head-to-head with the specialists.
So if we pull back, the platform is legitimate, the browser-based approach is a real time saver, but that credit system, that's the big drawback.
It's the definitive drawback. You're basically trading convenience and variety for economic predictability.
It's a strange paradox. You have this amazing tool with stable diffusion and daily 3 in one spot, but the economics of it make it stressful to actually use.
For sure. But despite those challenges, the source review did identify a few specific audiences who still get real value from OpenArt AI.
Okay, so who is this platform actually best suited for?
The review suggests it's for people focused on speed and variety, especially with templates. So social media creators, for instance, they can use the templates to rapidly generate a ton of content variations.
That makes sense. And what about for education?
Yeah, educators get value from it too. Just having so many different AI models aggregated in one accessible place is a great resource for teaching and learning.
But the reviewer had a strong warning for professionals, right?
A very strong caveat. They said that because of the pricing uncertainty, professionals need extra diligence. You can't rely on basic usage estimates for billing a client or scoping a project.
You have to become an expert credit accountant, which is not what you signed up for.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap up, there's a really interesting meta discussion in the source about the reviewer themselves.
Right, they're very transparent about avoiding sponsored content.
And that independence is so crucial for trust in a review like this. They're making a point of not taking money from the very companies whose business models they might critique the next week.
It establishes the whole review as being about genuine, independent consumer protection.
For sure. And to support their work, the reviewer outlines 2 ways they fund their investigations. The first is a simple affiliate link for the product.
So if you buy OpenArt through their link, the company will, as they put it, toss me a few pennies at no extra cost to you.
And the second method is just brilliant. It really brings their whole philosophy to life. They offer a direct link to Amazon's homepage.
Yeah, and they encourage you to bookmark it and use it for anything you buy, whether it's software or restocking on toilet paper.
That anecdote is so great. The idea that a tiny portion of what you're already spending can help fund these investigations. And as they say, Jeff Bezos won't even notice it's missing.
It's just a transparent, low-friction way for the audience to support genuinely critical analysis.
Yeah.
It really closes the loop.
It absolutely does.
So after all that, what does this all mean for you, the learner, if you're considering OpenArt AI, what's the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive?
I think if we boil it all down, here's the key takeaway. OpenArt AI gives you access to undeniably powerful technology. Stable Diffusion, Daily 3, Emotage. It's all there with incredible browser-based convenience.
What?
But you're paying for that convenience with clarity. The economic model is fragmented, inconsistent, and frankly, a bit punishing.
You're facing wildly varying credit costs that no reference zero for pricing, a strict no refund policy, and even a fee just to downgrade.
It's a high-friction business structure wrapped around some really powerful technology. You get the breadth of hundreds of models, but you have to become an expert credit accountant just to use them responsibly. The risk is all on you, the consumer.
Given that the real value of these digital services often depends on the transparency and fairness of their pricing, especially with weird currencies like credits, here's a final thought for you to consider. How much diligence should you apply not just to the quality of the output a service provides, but to the ethical and structural fairness of the cost itself, particularly when confusing, fragmented credit systems are involved? That's what's truly worth questioning.
Keep questioning everything. We'll see you on the next deep dive.